Minister for Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development and Energy, the Honorable Gregory Bowen. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development and Energy, Mr. Mike Sylvester. Director of Statistics, Mr. Hallam Brazan. Members of the Census Advisory Committee. Permanent Secretaries of the various government ministries. Members of staff of the Ministry of Finance and the Central Statistical Office, members of the media, persons joining us via social media, at home and abroad, those looking on via the GIS TV. I welcome you to this, the official launching ceremony of the National Population and Housing Census 2021. I am Abigail McIntyre, Census Public Relations Coordinator attached to the Central Statistical Office. Before we go any further into today's proceedings, I invite Prophetess Wendy Ann Ruffin, member of the Conference of Churches Grenada, to do the invocation.
Good morning to all. May we just bow our heads. Almighty and gracious Father, we are so grateful for the gift of life and for all that you have taken your grace to bless us with. We are grateful, O God, that we can undertake as a nation this census that is about to be launched today. We ask, O God, for wisdom, for grace, for resilience. We ask, O God, that you are going to give every individual who, O God, will be giving any form of information, who will be given any form of assistance, who will be given any form of directive throughout this entire process, that you will give them wisdom, that, Lord, you're going to cause them to be very clear in their deliberations and in what will take place as a result of the census. We ask, oh God, that as a nation, as people and citizens of our nation, that, Lord, we will be cooperative with that which our team of those in authority will be able to give to us and say to us that we need to do in order to make this exercise a success. Father, we just look to you knowing that we can't do anything on our own and succeed at it. At this time, I just ask that we all just repeat the Our Father. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Father, as a nation, bless us all, and bless today's proceedings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Ms. Ruffin. Please remain standing wherever you are. For those of you that are in the room, please stand. And I would invite Mr. Corey Joseph to lead us in the national anthem.
Hail, Grenada, land of ours, we pledge ourselves to thee. Heads, hearts, and hands in unity to reach our destiny. Ever conscious of God, being proud of our heritage, may we with faith and courage aspire, build, advance. As one people, one family, God bless our nation.
Thank you very much, Corey. A beautiful voice indeed. In Grenada and most countries worldwide, a census is conducted every 10 years around the same time. Internationally, this round of census is referred to as the 2020 round of population and housing censuses. Some countries have already undertaken their censuses in 2020. The last population and housing census in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique was conducted in 2011. Hence, a census becomes due for Grenada in 2021. This year's census date is September 15th, 2021. This is why today's launch is significant in signaling the start of this very important undertaking. Now I invite the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development and Energy, Mr. Mike Sylvester, to deliver the welcome remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to recognize, of course, Honorable Gregory Boeing, Minister for Finance, Mr. Halim Brizan, the Director of the Census Statistical Office, also Mr. Timon Charles, who's also with the CSO, and other members of the CSO who are here with us. I want to also recognize Mr. Kerry Pear, who is the Chairman of the Census Advisory Committee, and other members of the committee who are listening to us online, who are connecting with us virtually. I would also like to recognize permanent secretaries, other members of Ministry of Finance, and all those who are not here with us physically, but of course, as I said, are joining us through virtual means. We want to welcome them, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure this morning to welcome you to the official launch of the Population and Housing Census 2021. Now, this census, this undertaking, as you all know, is a very important one, is a major one. And for this reason, the participation of all our citizens is very, very important. It's critical. It depends on the full participation of all of us. We do hope that this launch will provide the kind of awareness, the kind of exposure that will help bring all of us on board, in particular because, as you know, this exercise would involve every single one of our citizens. It would, of course, require that everyone be counted. It will require the collection of data regarding the housing statistics of every single household and house in Grenada. And so, as I said, it's a major, major undertaking. The importance of the data that is collected, it's data regarding demographics, data regarding economic information, data regarding social statistics, and so on, which of course is important in helping policymakers, helping private sector individuals, and helping all individuals in general to be able to make data-driven decisions. It's also important in helping in planning, whether it's for social purposes, whether it's for economic purposes, and so on, as well as helping us to be able to provide the support, especially to vulnerable populations and so on, who you would find coming out of the data. As the chair would have said, the last census was done in 2011, so it's a decennial process, and so you know, over that period, a lot can happen in terms of demographic, economic, and social changes in the economy, and so it's important that we do that. And as I said before, there is no other undertaking as extensive and detailed as this particular one, hence the importance of it at this particular time. So we hope that this launch, as I said, will provide the kind of exposure, will help to bring persons on board. In terms of the institutional arrangements for the conduct of the census, the Census Statistical Office is mandated to do that. And of course, that process is supported by a Census Advisory Committee, which is really a multi-stakeholder grouping. So it comprises government, churches, private sector, NGOs, and all those bodies to support the process, because you want them to not only play a role in advising in terms of how we go forward, but also being leaders of communities and leaders of captains of industries and so on. They will be able to help bring persons on board and help, of course, that we have a very serious undertaking, and an undertaking that, of course, capture the right kind of information, because you don't want sense that you have wrong information. You know, as they say, if you have garbage, if garbage goes in and garbage comes out, so you want to be able to get good data, good information, and the involvement of everyone, in particular the leaders who I've just mentioned, is important in that particular regard. So my task this morning is very simple: is to welcome each and every one of you, including the members of the media who are here. You have a very important role to play as well. The media is also represented on the advisory committee, and we want to get the message out to all and sundry that be part of this process. You'll hear more about it in terms of the how the process will unfold. The minister, of course, will speak to many of these issues, and a presentation you will hear from Mr. Brizan as well. So I'll end on this note and to thank you and encourage you to be part of this process as we look forward to conducting the 2021 population and housing census. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, P.S. Sylvester. And as P.S. Sylvester would have stated, if garbage goes in, then garbage comes out. And that's not what we want when we conduct the census this year. So it's really important that each and every citizen understand what their role is in this entire process. So we're asking that when you see enumerators coming to your doorsteps, to your workplaces, and so come September, we are asking that you give them the right and proper information so that we have the kind of statistics we need for the type of developmental changes that would come thereafter. Conducting a national population and housing census is one of the single most important and necessary undertakings for any country and its government. The data gathered aids in developmental planning for all sectors. The Grenada government recognizes this fact and has thrown its full support behind this venture. But you'll hear more of this as the next speaker comes to the podium. I invite Minister for Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development and Energy, the Honorable Gregory Bowen, to deliver today's feature address. Mr. Bowen.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, Permanent Secretary with the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Adam Brizan, and other members from the Central Statistical Office, other members from the Ministry of Finance, Prophetess Wendy, who has left, ladies and gentlemen, joining us, listening and viewing on the media, and members of the press here present, including our own GIS, I bid you a very pleasant morning. Today marks the official launch of the 2021 Population and Housing Census under the motto, Count Us, and the slogan, Nothing about us without us, because we all count. As we begin this census phase, we want to proceed with a sense of unity, national pride, and commitment to our beautiful country. As Grenadians, it is our civic duty to partake in this important component of national stocktaking. Not only do we have an obligation to partake in the census, but also an obligation to encourage others to do so, as the information provided will redound to the benefit of all. The population and housing census is a key source of high-quality statistical data, which is essential to the development of countries, of regions, and of the world economies. Official statistics is a public good. Hence, it is not only used by the central government, but also by decision makers in the public and private sectors, by researchers, students, non-governmental organizations, national, regional, and international development organizations, the media, and other users of data, which includes all residents and the citizens of Grenada. The population and housing census is highly essential in this period of COVID-19, recognizing that the pandemic has significantly changed the world and severely impacted our Grenadian economy. The launching of the census shows our commitment as a government to finding solutions through the implementation of effective policies that will cause our economy to bounce back, to become stronger and more resilient. For this to be achieved, these policies must be informed by credible data, which is an important output of the census. In keeping with the slogan, nothing about us without us, because we all count, and in the spirit of the Sustainable Development Goals, leaving no one behind and putting an end to poverty through sustainable development, we encourage the populace to play an active role in this important exercise. Statistics is often referred to as the voice of the people, and for this census, it is important for the voices of everyone to be heard, so that we can better satisfy your needs and plan your future. I must underscore here, the population and housing census is the most important and accurate source of data about the people and on the housing stock of any country, as it is based on factual data collected on each individual in the population. It is the only source of data that covers essential characteristics about the entire resident population and reports this information at community level, which is the smallest geographic subdivision. This information is in high demand, frequently used by many, and is only captured during a census. It also provides a robust source of statistics for the work of the national statistical systems, being used as benchmarks for household survey programs. When this population data is coupled with a geographic information system, it provides a rich source of geospatial information for planning and monitoring, as well as solving developmental challenges and addressing crises brought on by natural disasters. This is crucial for building a resilient nation. The rich and fresh data set to be produced from the 2021 census will update the analysis we have already done from the 2021 results. When complemented with other data sources and geographic information system, the census becomes a powerful analytical tool which can transform our lives. And information from the census will be used for many years to come in trend analysis and comparison across census years. COVID-19 has given us a clear awakening on how statistics have been used in strategically managing and mitigating the impact of the pandemic the world over. In restoring our economies, we cannot separate combating the COVID-19 crisis from the production of sound statistics. Hence, a census of the population is inevitable at this time. It is coming at a very critical point, as it will allow us to understand the impact of the coronavirus on the population at all levels, as well as how our lives have changed socially and economically. Sound statistics produced from a census will be important in solving the post-COVID equation, as high-quality statistical data will be required to identify the numerous economic, social, and environmental problems emanating from the pandemic, which further slow our progress in achieving the goals and targets of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda and our own National Sustainable Development Plan. For us to save lives and restore livelihoods, our policies must be informed by credible data. In this context, the Ministry of Health will be increasing its data gathering in the coming weeks. Accurate data, saving lives. Do give them the cooperation. The population and housing census plays an essential role in public administration, and it is critical in ensuring equity in distribution of government and private funds and resources among various communities, parishes, and the population groupings such as children, youth, elderly, women, men, the disabled, sick, poor, and unemployed. Hence, census information will bring to the forefront the needs of different vulnerable groups and the communities and the inequalities people are experiencing, ensuring the optimal allocation of government's scarce resources. While community statistics are useful in their own right, they are also important for our government because they can be used to produce information for planning the location of a school, health facility, community center, road, bridge, emergency shelter, and other public facilities, as well as for the private sector in determining the best location for retail outlets, manufacturing establishments, entertainment facilities, among others, including the type of micro and small businesses that the community will support. The Small Business Development Fund and entrepreneurs will be well served by this census. In the context where we're asking people to finance themselves as an entrepreneur, where they approach the Small Business Development Fund with a project that neither the evaluators nor the entrepreneurs understand whether or not such a project will flourish. The census will help us in this context. So a project that will not flourish in the community will not be passed, but the proposer will be advised accordingly. And so we will combine the Small Business Development Fund with the accurate, high-quality data gathered in the census to drive small business development and to reduce unemployment. 500 small businesses employing 2 persons will reduce the unemployment quantum by 1,000 persons. Significant. This is what our census will help us to achieve. The Central Statistical Office, the government office with a legal mandate to undertake a census, has been building its capacity over the years, taking advantage of the computer-assisted personal interviewing technology in the administration of surveys. Having implemented numerous paperless household surveys since 2016, the Central Statistical Office is in a particularly good position to undertake its first paperless census using tablets, data capture software, and geographic information system software. The use of these applications will significantly improve the quality and timeliness of the data collected and produced, and will contribute to the effective management of this census. It also ensures a higher level of data security and confidentiality in keeping with the provisions of the Statistics Act and the soon-to-be made census regulations. The Central Statistical Office has a legal obligation to ensure that the confidentiality and security of information collected, hence information that it discloses individual identities, cannot be disseminated. In addition, plans are underway to significantly improve the overall functioning of the country's statistical operations and reporting mechanism. A US $8 million World Bank funded project will see the human and technological capacities of the public and private sectors enhanced to provide final data for information and decision making within a short window after the end of the reporting period. At the end of every month, we must closely approximate the developing countries. By the 5th, we should be telling you the unemployment ratio, the change in economic growth, the financial situation, not only in the public sector, but in the financial sector, which is critical for decision making for both the government and for the private sector. Now we have to wait, and Mr. Brizan has to beg to get the data from private sectors. The technological advancement will allow us to place the correct equipment and applications at the various private sectors, locations, and within the government. And there will be automatic reporting, so that by the end of the month, Mr. Brizan and his team will analyze, and you'll see us putting on the government website a bit of information. Where now today, by the end of May, we are reporting on February and March. We agree it's totally acceptable. It is in this context that I want to compliment Mr. Brizan and his team, because I know they are doing their best and working miracles with what they have. So after this project, I know that they will breathe a heavy sigh of relief. And the country will be making decisions based on accurate information, fundamental in any business that anyone will run. We are also highly conscious of the times we are living in and will not want to put the population at risk. Hence, the Central Statistical Office and the Ministry of Health, who is also a member of this Census Advisory Committee, are collaborating in ensuring the necessary health and safety protocols are in place to protect the public and our staff as they administer the census. Please give them your fullest cooperation as they approach your homes and your businesses. Our priority is to ensure that everyone can be safely counted. As we launch, and from this point onwards, we want the census motto to resonate in the minds and hearts of all Grenadians and people living in Grenada. Count us. Because it is all about us, our homes, our people, our lives, our livelihood, our country, our hope, our future. It's all in our hands. It's all about us, our infant, our children, our youth, our elderly, our physically challenged, our poor, and our vulnerable. No one shall be left behind. It is all about us, our women, our men, our boys, and our girls. Be the change you want to see. It is all about us, our education, our health, our housing, our infrastructure, our security, our welfare, our environment. Let's make a difference. Now more than ever, let us work together to ensure all Grenadians are counted in Census 2021, because we all count. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister Bowen. As Minister Bowen mentioned in his address, the slogan for this year's census is "Nothing about us without us, because we all count." This is an important message to all our citizens, for it tells us that this exercise concerns each and every one of us. It is our business, and we're not leaving anyone behind. I would like us to take a short break in this program to invite you to take a moment to enjoy the talented Shireen Brazan as she sings Connect the Figures. This song was composed by Ms. Brazan on the occasion of Caribbean Statistic Day and World Statistics Day, celebrated on the 15th and 20th October 2020, respectively. The celebrations were held under the theme Connecting the World with Data We Can Trust. Ms. Brazan.
Connecting the world with data we can trust, leaving no one behind. Putting an end to poverty and strife, and we're saving lives. Achieving sustainable development. This is no experiment, concrete evidence. Everything is relevant. It's time for positive change. Saving lives in our country, in the region, in the world. Connect the dots, let's make it work to make informed decisions. Yes, you'll change, we'll change. It'll change if we work together. You'll change, we'll change. It'll change, connect the figures. You'll change, we'll change. It'll change if we work together. You'll change, we'll change. It'll change, connect the figures. You'll change, we'll change. It'll change if we work together. You'll change, we'll change. It'll change, connect the figures. If we can work together, we can be so much better. And if we can take the time to read between the lines, we'll help someone to inform, to create policies that don't separate, that include and are suitable to people's needs. Let's not assume. You'll change, we'll change. It'll change if we work together. You'll change, we'll change. It'll change, connect the figures. You'll change, we'll change. And it'll change if we work together. You'll change, we'll change. it'll change. Connect the figures. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Shireen. Such a beautiful song. And the lyrics is so fitting. Thank you so very much. Your words will stay with us, for we all have an important part to play in connecting the world with the data we can trust by participating in the population and housing census and other data collection activities of the Central Statistical Office. It is now my pleasure to invite to deliver a presentation on the 2021 census Mr. Halim Brazan, our Director of Statistics and Census Officer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as we continue with this National Population and Housing Census launch, we want to promote the general message of unity and equality, and making a general appeal for persons not only to ensure that you are counted, but that you also ensure that other persons are counted as well. Your families, your friends, your work colleagues. Under the motto, "Count us," as Minister said, and the slogan, "Nothing about us without us, because we all count." So this is a breakdown of my presentation. I think it's important for you to hear a history of census taking in the region. And then I will answer the questions, the what, the when, the who, the why, and the how as it relates to the population and housing census. The history of census taking in the region dates back to the early 1840s, and it continued at regular intervals except during the period of the Great Depression and the World War. Post the World War, in the 1960 round, census taking recommenced in most countries in the Caribbean and exhibited significant regional collaboration with all participating member countries, utilizing a common approach. And this regional coordination was reinforced in the 1970 census round, where the coordination was done by the Professor of Demography of UWI, Mona, being the overall coordinator. In the 1980 census round and thereafter, we saw the establishment of the Regional Census Coordinating Committee, a committee which exists up till this day, comprising of directors of statistics and chief statisticians throughout the region. The CARICOM Secretariat was charged with the responsibility of executing the regional census strategy, including the convening of the Regional Census Coordinating Committee meetings. And the reporting arrangement of the RCCC was to the Standing Committee of Caribbean Statisticians, established by the Common Market Council of Ministers in 1974. And the SCCS, the Standing Committee of Caribbean Statisticians, endorses the decisions of the Regional Census Coordinating Committee. The general purpose of this Regional Census Coordinating Committee is to ensure uniformity throughout the region, guidance on steps to be taken in the execution of census in the various territories, the adoption of an appropriate method for processing data, and advice and assistance with the preparation for census publications and other technical assistance. What is a population and housing census? A population and housing census is a total process of planning, collecting, compiling, evaluating, analyzing, and disseminating data at the national level down to the smallest geographic level, normally the community level. And this information pertains to all persons and all households in a country, or in some countries might be a well-delimited part of a country, but in the case of Grenada, it's the whole country, the entire country, including Carriacou and Petite Martinique. And this information is collected at a specified time. What kind of data do we collect? Demographic and socio-economic information on persons and individuals, as well as household information on the characteristics of facilities, access to amenities, and living conditions. The census is the largest and most important statistical undertaking of any national statistical office, and it is among the most complex and massive peacetime exercise a nation undertakes, as it requires careful planning, resourcing, implementation, and monitoring, the mapping of the entire country, mobilizing and training vast amount of enumerators, canvassing all buildings, collecting individual and household level information, collecting, compiling and processing this information, and also analyzing and disseminating the data at the end. The essential features of a census. A census has 4 essential features. The first, individual enumeration, where each individual and each set of living quarters is enumerated separately and the characteristics are separately recorded. Universality means that it should cover a precisely defined territory, and in our case is the entire country, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. And it includes every person present and or residing within its scope. Simultaneity, each person and each set of living quarters should be enumerated as of the same well-defined point in time, and that is the census date, 15th of September, which is a reference period for data collection. Defined periodicity, which means that census should be taken at regular intervals so that comparable information is available in a fixed sequence. And this takes me to my next slide, which speaks to the when. When is a population census conducted? As mentioned by Madam Chair, most countries in the world take censuses around the same time, year ending 0 or near to 0. And this ensures international comparability. In Grenada, a population and housing census is conducted every 10 years. And our last census was conducted approximately 10 years ago. And some information here, already mentioned that the census date is the 15th of September, and the census period, bearing in mind that this is our first experience having to do a census in the midst of a pandemic period, we want to give ourselves enough time for data for the fieldwork. So we would really hope to complete by the end of December, but it all depends on the full cooperation of all residents and all respondents. Who does the population and housing census target? Usual residents. For census purposes, it is the place at which the person lives at the time of the census and has been there for some time and intends to stay there for some time, normally a period of 6 months. Also, in terms of the residents, The usual residents included are population living in private non-institutional dwellings, and these are the population in households. The population living in institutions, for example, homes, hospitals, prisons, and other correctional facilities, as well as the homeless population. So we are leaving no one behind. Why is it necessary to conduct a census? For many reasons, some of which were mentioned already: policy formulation and decision making for achieving inclusive and sustainable economic and social development. Also, developing and implementing disaster and natural disasters mitigating programs. Analyzing population characteristics and changes over time. And this is particularly critical given the impact of COVID-19, and also in terms of projecting the population. Meeting the needs of special population groups such as the aging population, children, adolescent, the youth, and persons with a disability. Mainstreaming gender in development. Analyzing the status of economic activity as it relates to unemployment, youth unemployment, and to develop and implement programs to treat with these appropriate challenges. Understanding of the adequacy and quality of housing, informing policies on education and training, assessing the status of migration, both internal and international migration. And the census is the main tool that we use to assess migration. Also undertaking situational analysis on health and wellness to improve the health of the population, as well as assessing the needs of the population relative to food security, poverty, and hunger, analyzing the situation on fertility and mortality as they can contribute to changes in the population, and it is also critical in determining determining population growth and doing population projections as well. Crime and security analysis, also small area issues at the level of communities within countries, and also doing geospatial analysis. Also assessing access to the internet, computer, and ICT in this time is very, very crucial to ensure that most persons have this access. And finally, environmental issues. The census is also critical, plays an essential role in all elements of the national statistical system, as it is an important benchmark for statistical compilation. And the census basically charts the way for us at the Central Statistical Office and within the National Statistical System for the next 10 years, as it is used as a sample frame for sample surveys, both household and establishment, and also censuses. In fact, from the population and housing census, a frame for the agricultural census is normally developed as well. And you can develop frames for economic census, and you can get information that would inform the business register, which is important for the conduct of business surveys. Population figure is also a denominator in many statistical indicators, including GDP per capita, life expectancy, fertility rates, death rates, birth rates, net and gross enrollment, crime prevalence rate, and population density. Minister made mention of the fact that statistics is a public good, and it is a public good because it's available for use by everyone. And in this next slide, you can fit yourself in one, two, or more of these categories, because each and every one of us are users of the information that statistics produced, official statistics, and the statistics that will be produced from the census. How will the census be conducted? So the census will be conducted in 3 major stages with phases in each stage. The first is the preparatory stage, which is actually the stage that we are in, and the office is currently putting all its efforts in ensuring that things are put in place to be ready for September 15th. And it includes planning, preparation, mapping, questionnaire design, and manual development. That is the census manual, which aids the understanding of the questionnaire, and also the pre-testing and piloting of the census questionnaire. The census questionnaire is the key instrument that is used for the undertake of the census. The census stage is the stage at which we will be setting up our field operations, for example, the recruitment, training and selection, and also one of the most important aspect, the census enumeration. And the post-census stage is where we would see the data processing, analysis, dissemination, and the many products and documentation coming out from the census. It is important for us to understand the legislation governing the census in Grenada, and I make reference to the statistical legislation which governs the operation of the Central Statistical Office. It is Act number 30 of 1960, and it's an act to provide for the taking of census and for the collection, compilation, analysis, and publication of certain statistical information, and for other matters, other related matters. The Minister for Finance has the power to direct that a census be taken by way of a census order. And once the minister directs that the census be taken, then the census regulations from the last census 2011 will be repealed and revised to that of 2021. The other legal provisions for the census taken, confidentiality, and confidentiality is the hallmark of our profession as statisticians. All census staff and staff within the statistics office signs an oath of secrecy, prohibiting them from divulging information. The major offenses include the breach of confidentiality and also the falsification of information. Sanctions for these offenses include imprisonment for 2 years and a fine of $5,000. So this is our obligation, this is our legal obligation to the public, that we protect the confidentiality of the information, and also that we report the information accurately. Now, you as the general public has a duty to give information under the census regulation, and this is quoted from the census regulation, the last census regulation, which will be renewed. Every person with respect to whom census information is required by the census order must give to an enumerator such information with respect to himself, herself, or other persons as is necessary for the purpose of the taking of the census. And a person who fails to give information required by the order actually commits an offense. Moving on to the census questionnaire. And in the census questionnaire, these essential criteria for developing the questionnaire was that it must be comparable over time and across countries. As we know, the involvement of CARICOM in this, there is the questionnaire is harmonized at the regional level, and there's a CARICOM core set of questions to ensure regional comparability. It is also based on internationally accepted definitions and methodology used by all, and our guiding manual for the taking of census is the UN Principles and Recommendations for Population and Housing Censuses. Now this would give you an idea of some of the information, the various sections of the census questionnaire. And we have personal characteristics, which would give you things like age, sex, ethnicity, religious affiliation, also training and education. We have training and education as a section, health, income, fertility, internet access, disability, place of residence, and employment, work. And this is the individual section, and then the household section, we would present things on the building, collect information on the building characteristics, housing facilities, appliances, crime, environment, land tenancy, etc. Now, the data collection, the data capture tool, we'll be using, taking advantage of the new technology. As Minister said, it's the first paperless census, and the census questionnaire is electronic and will be administered using tablets with the Survey Solution software, which is a software created by the World Bank, and also we'll be combining this with the Esri ArcGIS software, which would enhance the mapping and the census management. The advantage of the paperless census include improved timeliness and quality of data, and ensures completeness of the questionnaire, and significantly reduces the data processing time, and also improve the survey management and improve the overall data security. We intend to implement a multimodal approach to the undertake of this census using CAPI, which is computer-assisted personal interviewing technology, as the main mode, which is face-to-face. Of course, we'll be ensuring that all the COVID protocols are adhered to, as the minister indicated that we are in communication with the Ministry of Health in this regard. And the second mode is CATI, the computer-assisted telephone interviewing for persons who may feel more comfortable doing the questionnaire via the telephone, right? So we have that option in light of the fact that we may not meet the persons at home, because we're supposed to go into the home at reasonable time, and also the fact of the COVID pandemic. Recruitment, selection, and training. There is an online application to be completed, and we wish for persons interested in working on the census to complete this application by the 9th of July. And you can apply for census enumerator or supervisor. And the application process is a simple process, just by visiting our newly relaunched website. And we are happy to present this website to you today at stats.gov.gd. And please note that preference will be given to unemployed persons. Then, in terms of training, there will be a training of trainers for the persons who will be training the interviewers in July of this year, and the training of field staff, and the final selection will be done in August. Now the next page shows you our statistics website, and you will see on the front page an invitation for application, and you can also access this invitation on the census page as well. It is important to note the supporting agencies and development partner engagement that we have been benefiting from. And so this includes firstly the CARICOM Secretariat, and the CARICOM Secretariat is supporting the CARICOM regionally coordinated census strategy by the development of regional public goods, which is in line with the regional strategy for the development of statistics. Also, the OECS Commission has developed a population and housing census toolkit for the benefit of member states. Also, the ESRI project, there's an ESRI project for the extraction of products from our LIDAR data, which would benefit census execution. But not only will it benefit census execution, but it will benefit other aspects of and other relevant stakeholders who use GIS. And in this regard, there would be a presentation that will be done next week, Thursday, inviting the major stakeholders who use geographic information system. And invitations in this regard to the relevant persons have already been sent out. Also, UN Women, in terms of the measurement of unpaid care and domestic work, and this is a new feature of our census that we are measuring and would be reporting on this kind of important information, which is so important for sustainable development. Also, Statistics Canada, through the project for regional advancement of statistics in the Caribbean, Statistics Canada is one of the world's leading national statistics agencies, and we have been benefiting considerably from their engagement under the PRASC project. So far, we have benefited, as it relates to the census, we have benefited from technical assistance and guidance in census planning management and also in the questionnaire review. And they have assisted us in the redevelopment of our statistics website, which I would display at the end of my presentation. Also, the United Nations Population Fund, the UNFPA, has been providing technical support through its senior technical census specialists, and we have also received support under the 11th EDF project in geographic information system mapping. We will also be benefiting from the World Bank OECS Data for Decision Making project to support census, and Minister made reference to that project. So this is the same way I started, I will end on the same note with the motto, "Count us," and our slogan, "Nothing about us without us, because we all count," graphically portrayed. Thank you very much. And if I can just do a brief demonstration. screen. Oh, okay, so this is our, let me go to the home. So this is our statistics website. This is the home page here, and you can see at this part of the home page, you can, persons who are interested in applying can click here. Persons can also access the application on the Census tab, where you would also find more information pertaining to the census, and also there's an animated video that you can look at promoting the census. Right, so you can apply right here. You can click here and apply. The application process is simple. You just have to answer those questions in terms of parish, community, your name, your age, give us your contact information, and also other information as it relates to your qualifications and your experience. At the end, however, it is important to upload any supporting documents in terms of your CV and also proof of your qualifications. And you can also upload a cover letter as well. And you can take the opportunity to browse our website. As you see, we have a vast amount of information there that the public can access. So we are happy to be introducing this website to you today, and we would also be putting information about the census both on our website and our social media page. So on this note, I would like to say thank you to everyone, and we are looking forward to your support as we continue with this census undertaking. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Brazan, for that very informative presentation. As you would have heard, there are so many different groups of persons, organizations, and so that use the data collected from the census. So it's important to know that this is not a political thing. This is a national thing. And if you call yourselves patriotic Grenadians, as we so often do, then you would understand that this is your civic duty. I would like to take this opportunity to just reiterate a point that Mr. Brazan would have made concerning the call for applications. I just want to break this down a little bit more for you. An enumerator will be expected to be self-motivated and able to work with little supervision, be pleasant and respectful, be able to visit all assigned households within your respective enumeration district, adhere to all statistical standard operating procedures and processes, including willingness to sign a confidentiality agreement. Very important. Ensure safekeeping of all assigned census gadgets and accessories. Administer all questions in the census questionnaire and record the answers as received. And you are also required to have good communication skills and persuasiveness. In terms of the expectations of a supervisor, you should be able to meet all of those listed above as for the enumerator. In addition, we also ask that you may possess good interpersonal and communication skills, be organized, be goal-oriented, have good leadership, managerial, and teamwork skills, ensure all enumerators keep to schedule and are performing well, receive complaints, issues from enumerators, and relay them to the relevant officers at the Central Statistical Office. We also ask that a supervisor ensure safekeeping of all census equipment, gadgets, and accessories. So you can apply via our webpage, as Mr. Brazan would have demonstrated just a while ago, at stats, that is STATS, stats.gov.gd. So stats.gov.gd. by answering the short questionnaire and uploading your cover letter, CV, and your proof of qualifications, which would be your certificates, grade slips, whatever, and so on. So if you require more information, please call the office on telephone number 4401369, and we will be able to assist you with any questions or concerns that you have. We're asking that as many persons as possible would respond to this call for applications. If you know someone that is unemployed or underemployed, we encourage you to share this information with them so that they can apply and so on. Remember that priority will be given to the unemployed persons, but of course we want the underemployed as well to participate. The deadline for all applications is Friday, July 9th, 2021, so you have some time. Remember, we really need you to respond to this call because you would be engaging in a series of training sessions and so that you would be ready when you hit the road come September. At this point, I would like to invite our Deputy of Statistics, Mr. Timon Charles, to deliver the vote of thanks for us.
Good afternoon. I'm tasked with the responsibility to give the vote of thanks in this very important census launch. On behalf of the Central Statistical Office, Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development, and Energy, and the Census Advisory Committee, I would like to thank the Honorable Gregory Bowen, Minister for Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development, and Energy, for his very enlightening and inspiring feature address on the importance of census and why it is important for all of us to participate. Two things that the minister mentioned which stood out to me, they were as follows, and I quote, "The population and housing census is a key source of high-quality official statistics, which is essential to the development of countries, of regions, and the world economies. Sound statistics produced from a census must be an important variable in solving the post-COVID equation, as quality official statistics will be required to inform numerous economic, social, and environmental problems emanating from the pandemic." I thank you very much. I thank the minister very much for highlighting how the census data can be used in making informed policy decisions in moving the country's economy and people forward post-COVID. I would like to thank Mr. Mike Sylvester, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development, and Energy, for his welcome remarks and imploring the importance of the census. I would also like to thank Mr. Hallam Brizan, Director of Statistics, Central Statistical Office, for his very informative presentation on the census and its importance. I would like to thank Ms. Wendy Ann Ruffin from the Grenada Conference of Churches for invoking God's presence on these proceedings. Without God, nothing is possible, and as such, everything that we do, we must always ensure that God is at the forefront. To Ms. Abigail McIntyre for chairing the launch and being an excellent host. To Ms. Shireen Brizan, songwriter and vocalist, for the wonderful rendition of the song she composed for the occasion of World and Caribbean Statistics Day, which is still very, very relevant as we prepare to undertake the census. To Mr. Corey Joseph for his excellent rendition of our national anthem. To Mr. Rashidi McLawrence for designing the census logo, the beautiful logo that we have, and the census banner. Last but not least, to the members of the media, all the persons who are logged in on social media platforms, both locally, regionally, and internationally. To you, the general public, we say thank you for being a part of this very important event. On this note, I would like to encourage the population to partake in this upcoming 2021 census and to ensure that you are counted, because we cannot do anything about us without us. As the minister said, census is about all of us, and I would like to say thank you all.
And to you, Mr. Charles, we say thank you for saying thank you. As we end today's session, I would just like to admonish all Grenadians to show their true patriotism by doing their part to ensure that you are counted in this year's population and housing census. Remember, as I said before, it is our civic duty. In the coming weeks, we will be embarking on a series of education and sensitization programs to ensure everyone understands the importance of this census activity and their role in the process. Please, I would encourage you to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. Our website is up and running, as we would have demonstrated a short while ago, so you can also keep updated as to what's happening with this process through these various mediums. I am Abigail McIntyre, and I would just like to say thank you very much for joining us today for this very important launching ceremony for the National Housing and Population Census 2021. Until next time, take care, everybody. Have a good day and a good weekend ahead.
Complete without a visit to Carriacou and Petite Martinique, without a stop on one of our white sand beaches that disappear in oceans, with beautiful coral reefs and perfect diving conditions. You can't possibly leave without exploring a